Hey, bom dia and good morning from Busias in Brazil, 2 hours north of Rio de Janeiro. Today is November the 9th, 2020. My name is Sven and thank you for clicking on this video. Now, if you did, what are you interested in? You're interested in knowing what is the current situation in Brazil with regards to the coronavirus and how it affects the travel industry. How, if you want to, can you structure a trip to Brazil in the safest way possible, complying with all the measures that are currently being conducted. You will also want to know how my trip looked like. I went to 3 different locations. I went to Sao Paulo first, then to Busias, and finally also to Rio de Janeiro, where I'm going to go tomorrow. I will show you actual video snippets of each of these locations so you get a feel for how the situation is, how do people react, how does life look right at the moment, and also, which is important, is getting an idea for the flight situation and what should you consider when booking your trip. Now, what is important to me is that I'm not giving you any recommendations whether or not to travel to South America right now, or to Brazil in particular. That totally depends on your own risk assessment. But now, what is my background? I work in international trade, having customers in Brazil, and I haven't been here for 6 months now due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now I had a good work opportunity that allowed me to come back here, and I took it. And to be honest with you, after more than a week of traveling, I did not regret it at all. On the contrary, I'm quite happy I went here because it provided me with many valuable new insights. Okay, now for your trip, what is important? First things first, what is the current entry requirements into Brazil? Brazil is currently open for visitors. Brazil, of course, had a quite strong lockdown after the very bad development of Corona. Now, however, you can enter the country again. You do not need any specific economic visa for this. So the usual visa guidelines apply at the moment, just as they always have. You do not even need to present a health insurance upon arrival, but I do recommend strongly that you get international health insurance covering the potential case of you needing treatment for the coronavirus once you are in Brazil. Why? Because if you travel internationally anyhow, you're used to having your international insurance, which usually covers everything. Right now, for potentially good reasons, insurance companies do exempt the services for coronavirus from your actual insurance you have right now. So you want to make sure that you get one that actually includes potential treatment in Brazil and transportation back to Europe, or anywhere where you come from. Now I just say Europe because that's from where I went to Brazil. Brings me to my trip itinerary. I went from Frankfurt, Germany to Lisbon in Portugal. From Lisbon then with TAP to Sao Paulo, and from Sao Paulo to Rio de Janeiro, then taking Uber to Busias, and eventually going back to Rio for a last meeting, again connecting via Sao Paulo and flying back. And I'm going to show you snippets from all these 3 locations throughout this video. Ja, ganz kurz vom Boarding nach Sao Paulo. Es ist einfach niemand hier. Wir sind im Airport komplett allein. Und ich bin einfach jetzt mal sehr gespannt, wie viele Leute eigentlich heute auf diesen Flug gehen nach Sao Paulo. Wie ihr sehen könnt, bisher nicht so viele. Okay, now talking media and perceptions, and then my actual feelings and realizations once I arrived into Brazil. I'm from Germany, and to be honest with you, I had the impression that the situation in Brazil was extremely bad when it came to the coronavirus pandemic, but also to the way that people are dealing with it. Now, whilst I'm not a medical expert and I'm not a political expert, so I cannot assess the first part, but When I arrived at Sao Paolo Airport on Tuesday morning, I was extremely positively surprised because the rules there are quite different. You have to wear a mask anywhere, me being inside or outside. So even on the streets in Sao Paulo, you have to wear a mask at all times. You cannot take it off. Even if you take a sip of water, people will remind you immediately that you have to put your mask back on. People will walk around the elderly in like a half circle. They will try to keep their social distance in the street. I mean, I went to various central parts of Sao Paulo, including Avenida Paulista, including Parque Ibirapuera, including shopping malls like Ibirapuera Shopping, and some typical tourist spots and also museums. And I was extremely positively surprised by how cautiously people take care of each other. It really had a sense of camaraderie and maybe solidarity that I've not seen in Germany, because everyone was together in that situation. Everyone here is really trying to get this pandemic under control to the best way they can. Now, I'm not assessing if that is working, I'm just telling you what I see in the streets, and that is compliance with the rules to a much higher degree than I, for instance, have been seeing this in, let's say, Frankfurt, Germany. Okay, so for those of you that actually consider going to Brazil for business, just like I did, I want to share my experiences with regards to meetings and the reception of the people, because I was not quite aware how would people react if I suggest a business meeting in person, given the current situation. Now, I contacted 4 different companies which I schedule meetings across various locations here in Brazil. For the past week and also for the next 2 days, and to be honest with you, the responses were extremely positive. All companies were very happy to receive us here as a company, and they were happy to conduct on-site personal meetings, again with, of course, social distancing, everyone wearing a mask. I'm gonna show you some pictures of these meetings in the video, and we made the meetings as safe as possible, as safe as a work meeting in Germany would look like as well. Maybe a bit safer because we actually could make them with fresh air. So, talking Busias, I'm at Sao do Busias, located 2 hours north of Rio de Janeiro, northeast. So it takes roughly 2.5 hours to get here with an Uber from the Santos Dumont Airport. I chose this place because within this trip I have one weekend that I could fill with free time, and I did not feel like spending it in an area with, of course, dense population and maybe a lot of herds of people walking around outside. So for me, Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo were not an option. Now, Busias is famous for outdoors, trails, beaches. You can walk pretty much anywhere on Busias. You can reach 4, 5 to 6 beaches easily walking within, let's say, 30-minute radius. The water is almost crystal clear anywhere. You can do nature trails, and I strongly recommend you get a guide to walk some of these trails, because they are going to take you to fantastic outposts of this peninsula, which has also extremely interesting geology. I mean, you're going to see pink sands, you're going to see fantastic rock formations based on volcanic activity, and you're going to see also great restaurant scene. You're going to see very friendly people, and at the moment, which is still early November.
Se você não trabalhasse aqui, não iria receber dinheiro do governo?
Sim.
Sim.
Em dezembro o auxílio emergencial para e a gente precisa...
Até dezembro ainda está?
Sim, a gente
entendi.
precisa voltar a trabalhar.
Claro.
E ele já diminuiu, era 600 e agora é 300.
300 reais por mês?
Sim, 300 reais não dá pra nada. 600 reais já não dá muito.
300 não dá pra nada, quase não pra comprar comida,
Sim,
né?
E a comida, tudo aumentou.
Sim.
Porque eles querem esse dinheiro de volta para eles de alguma forma, né? Então tudo aumentou, tá tudo muito mais caro.
Tem relação. Também eu olhei um pouco a devaluação do reais, como agora é muito caro aqui.
Sim, o arroz está muito caro, tá tudo muito caro.
Mas então é muito melhor que as pessoas aqui, com máscara, com tudo, para que vocês possam trabalhar e possam receber as pessoas.
Sim, todo